Good morning. Guten Tag, alle Falava. This is Dr. Snow Brown speaking to you all once again. A very blessed good morning to my Snow King Club congregation. SEC 1, SEC 2, and the Knights and Chiefs of the 150 Days War Program. As you would have all seen, new amended logo has been uploaded. That's right, on CKC TV Facebook. That is still operating. It's still operating in the monarch mode at the moment. That's correct. Anyway, today I'm going to preach. About another enemy. About another enemy that I need to bury, that I need to sort out, but I also need to bury. In this preaching, that's right. That is part of the so-called the recent incident that happened with a 42 minutes delay waiting period in the reception area that wins a punk case. That's correct. It wins. That's correct. This same enemy, or actually this one is the cause, the instigator, actually the biggest demon of all. That's correct. And possibly the worst one out of all the demons that I serve the trespass notice to, that are connected to the red demon, brackets, the white demon. You all know who I'm talking about. That's correct. Anyway, you've already been given a brilliant illustration about the case of Jeremiah. That's correct. I think I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on from that one. So that one has been sorted out. Well, it's not a what? Well, it's not a pile of shit inside a file, or let alone a portfolio for a minister to deal with. But at least with this natural pastor, I have a way of dealing with issues. That's correct. So that one is sorted, and it will be sorted again at the courts. That's correct. Like I said, I don't lie. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll follow through. Although God has a timing, I have my own timing. That's correct. It will happen. The restraining order. It will happen when it's time to do so. That's correct, Jeremiah. Hey, no hard feelings when I raised the issue about domestic violence. Hey, you're not the only one, Jeremiah, that's got a history and a bad record of domestic violence in your family. That's correct. You're not the only one. You're not the only one. There's a lot. Well, when Apostle Brian Tamati, that's correct, said that there were 17,000, 18,000 calls last year alone in 12 months, or in a month, regarding domestic violence in New Zealand. Right? You're one of those. You're probably no longer one of those stats. That's correct. Let's hope not. Let's hope so. That's correct. Gone the days when we used to, I know. But some of us still got a long way to go. Still haven't learned their lesson, really. Anyway, you're not the only one. You're not the only family with such a history. There's the family that I'm about to just expose now regarding this preaching is none other than my own Rellies. It's none other than my Rellies. That's correct. Where you apply this sort of MMB brackets get harmful protocol. That's correct. And you've got a lot in common. In fact, this relation of mine, you've got more in common regarding criminal connections. That's correct. Very similar. In fact, your family probably knows my cousin's family really well. They seem to be a family that's well known in the region of Wellington, but all over New Zealand. That's correct. So I've discovered. They got a good reputation, all right. They sure get around. They sure make a lot of friends. When you're part of the Red Demon, that organization is massive and huge. Well, it covers the whole of this country. That's correct. So, we're not likely to not be without friends, of course, nor without associates. Indeed. That's right, Jeremiah. You have the nerve. You think you can teach me a lesson? No, you couldn't teach me a lesson. Even if you tried. And even if you lied, because you got no choice anyway, you'll lie between your teeth. Even though you're a Christian, you call yourself a Christian? Even though you're a baptized Christian, and your daddy is a clergyman, and you're going to deny my allegations? And you're going to deny that, and the cameras are right there? You're going to lie? You're going to lie to my Lord? Lie to this natural pastor? That's correct. And you're going to lie? That's correct to God? Let alone to Holy Mother? Oh, you can't do that, buddy. You can't do that if you're a baptized Christian. That's correct. But of course, if you want to save your job, well, of course you would lie. Oh, I mean, they train you well to lie. After all, that's right. Anybody who works for the government of New Zealand are generally trained well, which is lie. That's correct. You learn to tell lies. But you soon learn on the job. That's correct, because that's what they got to teach you, to lie. That's right. Except you ain't a good liar when the cameras are right there to catch your so-called criminal activity. That's correct. Although you'll probably fool yourself and lie to yourself. Satan will probably tell you, hey, just tell her, that's correct, that there was a mistake of some sort. That's correct. On that day. Or that he forgot about it. Or maybe that his marbles were somewhere else. Or maybe somebody was actually controlling and dictating the whole thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happened to be my own Rellies. That's correct, Jeremiah. You conspiring now with my Rellies to teach me a lesson on their behalf. My Rellies are the most evil, devious, despicable, half-caste Pākehās. That's right. Most despicable, the most despicable of all. That's correct. But go behind your back through their associates, harmful criminal associates, to teach you lessons that you didn't need to be taught a lesson anyway. But you can see now why my immediate family are different, are so different and so noble than the rest of Dad's side of the family, especially his so-called brothers and sisters. They are all ratbags and punks. That's correct. So I have discovered. Do you know that? Yeah. You see, what I've discovered, that if my dad was the eldest of 10, that's correct. If they had any brains, which they don't, because they might be tails after all, and of course having such criminal connections, they had no respect. They had no respect for Dad. Yeah, that's right. They had none whatsoever. And maybe because Red Demon, that's right, that Red Demon really went over your heads, didn't it, guys? But of course, when you've got the White Demon to contend with, when you rub skin and everything else with those kind of red, powerful friends, powerful associates, that's correct. Well, everything else is going to go over your head. And you're going to be like on top of the world, that's correct. And you sure are going to be like, now watch it now. That's right, be careful. Watch what you say now. Or else take it back. Or I'm going to give you blah, blah, blah. That's correct. You know what? That's a real punk, rat bag attitude. That's correct. And that's what you guys have got. And that's what Dad's brothers and sisters, except that's what my cousin's side of the family has got. The Baker side of the family. They are a classic example of a sociopath, psychotic family. That's correct. Got all the symptoms and the signs there of a mobster family. That's correct. It's no wonder my side of the family are very careful at what they say, especially around Dad's side of the family. Oh, you have no idea who you're dealing with. That's great. Apparently, they are killers and murderers and rapists as well. So I've discovered. But I mean, when you've got those kind of punks, ratbags as friends, well, of course you guys are going to do that kind of thing. Or let's just say be accessory. That's right. Evil, evil. Evil indeed. And you see how your cousin side of the family actually set you up, that's correct, with Mr. Prick back in 96. Oh, Mr. Prick, I have not forgotten. How evil is that? They set you up with a married man, but one that was actually both a KKK and an MMB associate, that's correct. And of course, you wouldn't have known that because you're 23, 24. Oh, your cousin still certainly has, everybody else under your thumb, don't you, madam? That's correct. I mean, looking the way that you do. Thank God you do. But, it's not all good for the Tokelauans. That's correct. Remember, you're part Tokelauan and something else. That's correct. But you also got, the Trevi and Webster, German and blah, blah, blah. That's correct. But the the Tokelauans have got a bad reputation for being, they're being whores. That's correct. They're being a hoe. Fucking the hell out of everybody else. That's correct. And stealing everybody else's pussy and butthole. That's correct. That's right. No, you got a bad reputation, all right, madam. It's just that you're lucky. You've been very good at, covering it up, camouflaging it, using other people. Just like your dad's side of the family. They use our family. Use his niece. That's right. I hate to say that I'm his niece because I couldn't be if you guys have got those sort of punk kind of criminal connections, where you actually use your relatives. That's right. To get ahead, but also to cover your own skin and your backside. And also to keep your reputation nice and clean, and squeaky clean. No criminal record, that's correct. All the signs are all there, but you see, you've got to go through the right park here. One that could be an associate. And that person that I'm talking and referring to, it could only be Mr. Willow, Mr. Anthony Shaw, that's correct, the lawyer. Remember, madam, can I remind you? That's right. When I came to serve you a trespass notice, I remember clearly, that's correct, on that day. I hardly talked to my cousin. And of course, her and her siblings, every time they used to see you, it was like, oh, stranger. How's our things? That's correct. Oh, she sure is a storyteller. Great storyteller. One that is dangerous. That's correct. Real danger. And probably an offender that has never been caught. Let's say a brown nigger. White nigger that's never been caught. That's correct. That's always been protected. It's like somebody's been there covering up her crimes. That's correct, her secret crimes. And protecting her and her siblings. Like royalties. That's correct. At the expense of using other people's reputation, let alone other people's good what? That's correct. Connections. Squeaky clean connections. To make your family look like what? Like you're up there, right? Yeah, celebrity. Well, I mean, you got celebrity on your dad's side of the family, of course. But like I said, I do recall the day that I came to serve you a trespass notice. Madam, that's correct. And, well, you're looking as, fine and dandy. And and the complete package on the day. I know, she was surprised and shocked that I was coming to serve a trespass notice. And of course, I didn't expect that she was going to say some, subtle threats. They sounded like threats to me. That was, well, I've got no leg to stand on, and that blah, 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 and all this nonsense that I was talking about. And that she knows a lot of lawyers, a lot of officers, police officers, and that she's spoken to a few of them, and they say I've got no case, blah, blah, blah. That's correct. And yet your cousin completely, that's right. She is so, so cunning and so despicable, but too conniving, too conniving. Madam, I could see right through to you. When I served you the trespass notice with the conditions, you know, your husband or your hubby, that's correct, that was standing next to you, that he took the trespass notice off my hand, that's correct, and he was reading it, and he was silently, quietly, peacefully, that's right, politely, not saying anything. And it was allowing you, of course, to be in control, to take the reins, as you always are. You're so good at taking the reins. You know that you've got almost every brother of my dad, but also of your mom, that's correct, under control. Did you know that? Did you know that you are like the, how should I say it? You're the mastermind. The key, the very key. The key that holds everything. That connects every associate and every harm that's come my way. That's correct. They seem to come from you, Madam Amanda Baker. You know, the most dangerous mobster. That's correct. Ratbag punk of all. Oh, she got the full looks. She got the package, all right. The full package. You got the looks. It's a good thing that, you were endowed with such good looks. That's correct. They came through the what? The Trevorans genes and the Baker genes. But especially through the Baker genes. That's correct. To match with your attitude as well. Oh, my God. That's right. But you sure are very good at manipulating people and conniving. And also what? Well, getting them to do things for you. But of course, if they don't do things for you, madam, what's the price? Death penalty? I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I suddenly realized that all the signs were obvious. Oh, you've got Mr. Anthony Shaw under your thumb, madam. That's correct, the lawyer in Oriental Bay. You certainly got him under wraps. That's right, he's under control. Now, who's the other one that you got under control? Looks like the president of the Mongol Mob Association. You certainly are. You certainly got that one under control as well. And every MMB member. But when it comes to the White Demon, you certainly got the English as well. My God, what's your secret, madam? Yeah, how do you keep, so many people under control under your thumb? You got a lot of power, haven't you? You sure have. I'm starting to wonder that maybe you are an official member of the KKK. And an associate for the MMB. Or it could be both members. That's correct. Because after all, your dad's side of the family have got more of a connection, having 3 brothers and a nephew that was part of the associate organization. This is what you said. And of course, when I served the trespass notice on the day that I gave you the trespass notice, that's right, being on the 25th day of October 2019 at about 6:28 p.m. That's correct. You're not so smart at all, cousin. That's right, cuzzy. Because you said to me, I said, well, hey, where's this all coming from? No harms that I'm getting and the things at the address that I am at. Hey, it's coming from your side of the family. It's definitely, a lot of these members are MMB members. That's correct. But they're also associates of KKK. So what I'm saying, cousin, is that, hey, I want these things to stop. The drugging, the unlawful injuries, the home invasions, all the harms that's been, the arbitrary dictatorship, the dictatings and the hackings and the stalkings. Can you make that, put a stop to it? And my cousin was kind of completely oblivious, like she didn't know what I was talking about. But that's a cunning, typical, a typical conniving, despicable cunning you know, what? Criminal? Criminal, rat bag. That's correct. Where she said, oh, my dad's 3 brothers, they're dead. And so was the nephew. I said, oh, really? So they're all dead? My God. To me, I took it as maybe she's trying to give you a hint. It'll be careful. Otherwise, you could be next. That's correct. The fact that she said she knew all the lawyers and all the so-called police officers, well, I think that makes sense. That does make sense that my cousin knows a lot more. She's more involved. She's got a lot invested. That's correct. In the connections, in the criminal connections, than she said. That's correct. Because, you see, I figured it out. That if she knows so many police officers and so many lawyers, well, then she could only be an associate. She could only be an M&B KKK associate. That's correct. You know that she's also got Mr. and Mrs. Yoke under her thumb? Mr. and Mrs. Yoke, I'll tell you this. That's right. They are actually KKK associates. So I've discovered. So, and of course, they had no choice because, you had the upper hand. You had the power, madam. With that red demon, yeah, your daddy, that's correct, started to learn all the ropes, the ins and out of the so-called red demon. And so, he discovered that he could manipulate it and abuse the privileges that he was going to be bribed and given by that organization. So that he could what? So he could, whip the reins or grab the reins and start controlling, start dishing out the wrath and start dictating to outside of the family? My goodness. You're incredible. Your family's incredible, all right? What a legacy. Legends, all right? To be able to pull that off, eh? Without ever being detected and without ever being arrested for all your secret crimes through your criminal associates. But it was mostly, arbitrary dictatorships. That's correct. So the way I see it, Mr. and Mrs. Yoke had no choice, madam. That's correct. But to become associates of KKK. And they knew that if they didn't do that, well, you'd what? You'd rule over them. That's correct. You would dictate to her, to their children, privileges and their privileges. So they probably didn't have much choice but to screw what? Fucking elite. That's correct. And that's why, so, Mrs. Yoke doesn't mind not wearing knickers. As long as her children are protected and her grandbabies are protected, that's correct. And as long as they're not dictated to by some bitch of a wife like you, or you're not much of a wife, that's correct. Bitch of a whore, more like it. And remember, this came from the horse's mouth, that's correct. From your mammy, that's correct. Long time ago. That what? That's correct. That at the age of 14, you had your first abortion. You fell pregnant? You fell pregnant. That's right. And had your first abortion. But that was probably not the only abortion you had at a very young age. That's correct. And why would I say that? Well, you see, that's correct. We're noble families. We're from noble families. Hey, I've done some stupid things in my life. But I just want you to remember that you didn't set a good example. No, you didn't set a good example. That's correct. At the age of 14? Well, I guess you beat all the M&B sort of young ones, because by 15, they would have been converted to woman. That's right. But by the age of 12 and even 10, they probably would have been sexually abused by their fathers or their own, family members. So that by the age of 15, they would be ready for womanhood. That's correct, like in full-on initiation. That's correct. So you, madam, that's correct, fell pregnant at 14. But you see, you already started at the age of 8 or 10 to be sexually active. That's correct. The question is, who with? Well, none other than my dad's youngest brother. That's correct. Youngest brother, Busby Treviranus. That's correct. Sadly. I'm not sad. You're not sad because you couldn't give a damn anyway. That's correct. But, they couldn't stop you. Well, how could you? How could they? They were the ones who encouraged, the love connection, the romance. I'm very young in Samoa. That's correct. At about 10 years old. So you would have been what? You probably lost your virginity at the age of 10. That's correct, at that young age. But your parents didn't do anything. No, they let it happen. They let it happen. They let it. Well, they didn't have much choice because, you see, anything you want, you got. That's right. You were a spoiled little brat, bitch. Spoiled rotten, all right. And, it doesn't help when you've got Mr. and Mrs. Yoke. They favor you. Nah, they spoiled you. Well, and it's all because of your looks and the fact that you're so intelligent. That's correct. You're too intelligent. But what a waste. That's correct. Such a waste indeed. Now, what am I talking about? Hey, I'm teaching you a lesson. I'm teaching you a fucking lesson. Because that's what you've been doing, bitch. Because that's what you've been doing. To this noble, all in the last 25 years. That's correct. Through your criminal associates. Do you know that you and your siblings seem to, and even your parents, especially your crazy, pathetic, sociopath, sick parents, they seem to know a lot about me. That's correct. My private so-called affair, my conduct. And even what I say in secret and even what I do. Well, how can you not? You guys are actually stalking and harassing it. That's right. You're doing a lot of that. Violating my privacy and applying your so-called disgusting, harmful criminal protocols. That's correct. And all for who? Well, it's really to suit... You love what? You love using me as a laughing stock. That's correct. Like Mr. Bean. Somebody that you could make fun and poke fun at. That's correct. But oh dear, that's correct. If only they knew, that your family, that's right, sadly, had a really bad history of domestic violence. That's correct. I remember. You've probably forgotten, but I do remember. You used to get real bad hidings from your daddy. That's correct. So the fact that he allowed you and my dad, so-called, and your mom's youngest brother to be romantically involved with you, to have sex already at that age, at 10, that's right, and then fall pregnant at 14, and then have 2 children, that's correct, and 5 grandchildren, that's right. You see how, how you've got everybody's under control. That's right. You could get anything. Yeah, that's right. They have no, you could twist their arms. But there's no need to twist because, you see, you knew. You know how you manipulated. That's right. Dads, brothers and sisters. To get your way, madam. My God, that's right. You better lap it up, live it up. That's correct. While it lasts. You see how that's correct. I never was, you call this spiteful? No. You guys are the ones who are really spiteful. In all the things that you've been doing, that's correct. Using criminal associates to set me up like that? It's the most evil thing. It's the most evil thing I've ever heard. That's correct. And then, of course, your family then, thinks they can dictate with that crazy organization and the so-called crazy members. Then you can dictate to my privileges. That's correct. After that so-called connection, like back in 96, I'm thinking, my God, who the fuck do these people think they are? Who are they? What's this asshole doing here next door? That's correct. Stalking and hacking and causing all sorts of, hazard and mayhem here at my address. And I don't even know the dickhead. I got nothing to do with that organization, let alone your family, madam. That's correct. But it's like your family and you and your siblings are crazy over our family for some odd reason. Yeah. I didn't know that your dad had a thing. I don't know. A thing for over our family. That's correct. You have the nerve. Typical tokelao. Typical tokelao. That's correct. But like I said, your family, immediate family, although things look promising, you certainly have prospered. Thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Yoke, and thanks to Dad's side of the family that they accepted incest. That's right, your incestuous relationship. Hey, everybody knows that you're living in sin, that you're living unlawfully as a couple. That's correct. But nobody cares because, in their eyes, it's love. In their life, you can't separate those two. Oh, we don't want to be mean. We don't want to be nasty. That's correct. Hey, but you see, the law is the law. That's correct. But you're just lucky that organization actually respects you. That's correct. But mostly your dad and your mummy. That's correct. And Mr. and Mrs. Yoke and the rest of Dad's side of the family. But they didn't respect my daddy. I wonder why. That's correct. I wonder why. Maybe it's because, her side of the family could, submit, could give them whatever they asked for. That's correct. And Mr. and Mrs. Yoke, of course, the rest of Dad's side of the family, they seem to know what to do. That's correct. To satisfy them. But oh no. When it came to our family, it was like, but we're not satisfied. We want more. We want more. We want that big elephant. That's correct. We don't mind, poking fun and playing and making fun of her. That's correct. But we want more. Being greedy guts and being ratbags and punks. That's correct. That I really had nothing to do with. But I had no idea it was that bad and it was serious. They were actually stalking the fuck out of you. That's correct. And even harming you. And of course, your cousin parents, thought, it was fun. It was a great idea to use you. That's correct. As a scapegoat or as somebody that they could make fun. So as long as the focus wasn't on their darling daughter who was in an incestuous relationship. That's correct. To take away the what? To take away the shame. To take away the shame, but the embarrassment. That's correct. Well, it's just as well I talked about my bestiality sins, eh? Yeah. I bet you that all made you all feel like, oh, we're better than her. Oh, we're above her now. Because, if she stooped down that low, that's great. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, you felt what? Did you feel mighty clean and mighty, mighty, glorious. That's right. And suddenly you thought that they were better than you. When in actual fact, your family, man, you guys, you all deserve to go behind bars. Yeah, and wear those overalls. Because that's your level, because that's where your family belongs. That's correct. Real punk ass, all right? Real rat bags. Indeed. When you consider all the evils they do and what they get up to. But I mean, Kazi, that's right. I never had anything, against you or your side of the family. I just wasn't that close to your family. Well, I can understand why not. Why I wasn't that close to you and your immediate family. And why I always minded my business. And why I always did things by myself. That's correct. And I never really wanted to get any closer to your immediate family. Probably because of that red demon. That's correct. But I didn't know that, that there were a lot of benefits, a lot of privileges, and a lot of, rewards and things like that you could actually get from such an organization. If you knew how to manipulate them and control them. That's correct. And that's how dangerous you are, madam. That's correct. Because you see, your parents, that's right, because of the connection through the evil red demon and the white demon, your parents suddenly thought, well, hey, we could take full advantage of this big elephant. That's correct. This so-called sick woman. That's correct. And we'll go through the lawyer. Give her that order of supervision so we can dictate to her privileges on the order. Give her the treatment of a, like a hardcore criminal, she'll get used to it. That's great. Let's see how she's gonna deal with this. Do you know how cruel that is? Man, that's fucking cruel. That's great. How your cousin's side of the family, and even Mr. and Mrs. Yoke, the rest of Dad's side of the family, they all agreed. They were all in agreement. That's great. And they all conspired with that lawyer. And even the police officers, they all had a role and a part to play to set you up so that they could bring in the big elephant into the courts and give you the order of supervision. How nasty. How nasty. That is the most evil, nasty thing ever. And yet, the police, the Pākehās that they're dealing with, I know, they probably gave you what? Oh, you guys felt like what? You're like on top of the world, eh? Because you got nice Pākehā friends. Just like with Mr. and Mrs. Yoke. They think that they were real Pākehās and that they knew better and were far more intelligent and were more luckier than this big elephant. That's great. Because, all the Pākehās like them and they seem to be, blessing them and giving them good luck and saying nice things about them. But really, the only reason why they were saying nice things about them was they were scared shit. That's correct. And they didn't want to be targeted by a bunch of, wannabes or a bunch of punks. Rat bags, that's great. Who are real coconuts, real fobs, that's great. Who love to use other people, who love to use you and your family. That's great. Who are more noble than their rat bags. But I mean, seriously. How can you call them Trevoranas? They ain't Trevoranas, they're Websters. That's why you cursed them and you said, you know what, they definitely Websters. That's great. That's the English devious side. Except, what? Well, I know that Granny's parents are not evil. It's certainly not his dad. But the cousins, I know. But Dad's siblings, they're so cheeky. That's great. They really forgot to respect not only, his eldest, but also his children, but especially our rights as royal children. That's great. Totally forgot. And yet your cousin can say anything. She can even, call, your dad's brothers and sisters any sort of name, and they wouldn't take offense. And she would even make a joke, with your dad's brothers, that's right, siblings. And they would never teach your cousin a lesson. Well, they wouldn't want to. No, because she is their pet. It's correct. Their favorite. Because she is their youngest brother's so-called wife. Bitch, more like it. That's correct. But I mean that. She sure is a bitch. Little cheeky bitch. That's correct. For pregnant at 14. Abortion? That's probably not the only abortion. You know what they say? You lose your virginity at 10 years old. That's correct. And get pregnant at 14. What happens? You ain't nothing more than just a piece of trash and a whore. That's correct. You know what they say? You can get anything you want. That's correct. And I wouldn't be surprised, madam. If that's what you've been doing, is fucking the hell out of everybody else, every other Dick and Harry out there who might be an associate. What? To control my family? To control every aspect of my life? To know my business? My God, you son of a bitches, all right? You have the nerve. They all want to dig a mass grave where they can put you and the rest of your family. That's correct. You rat bags. I'm actually glad I'm saying this. When I think about all the pain and the suffering I was enduring, yet the stupid rubbish Pākehās that actually listen to your so-called daddy's so-called, brothers and sisters, let alone your stupid cousin who is sick with like her parents. They're all sick of incest. They couldn't even see that what they're doing encouraging them to harm you and control you like that. That's correct. That they are the ones who are sick. They are the ones who are evil. Hey, they're the ones that need that kind of order of supervision. That's correct. And all those decisions that fucking bloody gave you to give you the treatment of like a convict. When in actual fact, you know what? That side of the family, they are bloody convicts. Real rat bags and outlaws. That's correct. when you consider their so-called, the fact that they pretend to be, nice and well-behaved and clean? Oh, I don't think so. Don't use me and the rest of my family or anything else, any of my sins, to cover up the sickness of incest. The sickness of incest in the family, that's correct. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of dad's brothers are sick. They're sick with incest. But you see, in that organization, incest is one of the biggest plagues. That's correct. That exist in gang associations. That's correct. Incest. So it's no wonder you guys were. No wonder they would never report you to the police. Have you arrested? Treated like a criminal. Consider how I got treated. And yet they cover you up, and yet they don't have the heart to arrest the youngest brother for being a dumb fuck, for being an idiot. I don't know what you would call that. Sex of a minor, that's right, at a young age. That's not love. That is what you call sexual abuse, but also rape, assault. That's correct. But never mind. In their mind, well, it turned into a beautiful what? Deep, meaningful relationship? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's okay. They're old enough to handle it. It may as well leave it as it is, because after all, there is love there. Although it might have started off as abused love, but now what? And because some Samoan, ordained member of the clergy said, "Hey, their relationship is now approved. It has been cleansed. It has been forgiven, and not to give a fuck about what anybody thinks, to continue on, sinning, to continue on living that way when you know it's against the law and it's not right." What hypocrites? What bloody hypocrites? Now that's why I say you guys can go to hell. That's great. You have the nerve to point the finger at me? That's right, and search me? Subject me to unreasonable search. Search me for what? And yet the only fucking thing that you were good at was stealing from me. That's correct. That's right. And using me to show off to your punk friends. That's correct. The ratbag punk friends. That's correct. You used every aspect, everything that you could get from this noble, or this so-called. That's right. You took full advantage. Oh, they ran with it, all right. They used it, all right. They studied you like you were some species that some sort of, I don't know, rare disease that you could put under the microscope. That's correct. But I mean, those KKK friends of theirs, man, I hope you guys burn in hell. Don't worry. When my Lord comes for the second time, the only thing he's interested in doing to people like you is slaughter the fuck out of you. That's correct. And then burn you there. And chuck you there in the fire. That's correct. Let you burn forever. You son of a bitches. Can you imagine that? Your cousin? Well, I mean, she looks the part. Don't worry. She'll give Children St. James a good reputation. And I don't want to say that, that if it wasn't for Mr. Yoke endorsement, she might have not received that job. That's correct. But at the end of the day, I got nothing against my cousin. But if her dad and her mom thinks that, hey, that you think you can control me, tell me how to lead my life, and steal from me, and use me to show off to your so-called friends, your crazy nutty sociopathic friends who got criminal connections, all I could say is get off my back, get off my back. Get the fuck out and stay out of my church TV as well, and stay out of my digital devices, and stay the fuck out of my private life as well. And anything to do with my relationship, ain't in your business at all. You know what? If anything, you should have been what? You should have been keeping a close eye on your daughter who committed the incest. That's right, in the family. If anything you needed to worry about, what was happening in your own household and in your own backyard. That's correct. Because that will affect your 5 grandchildren and the rest of other grandchildren. That's correct. But of course, you wouldn't know anything about incest. You're not a natural pastor. That's correct. I got the gift of healing such sickness, but I wouldn't even want to bother. That's correct. Because after all, we don't even want to go there. So this one is for you, cousin. No, this is for you. And yeah, that's right. Then when I follow that restraining order, let's hope that the judge doesn't lock you all up, place you all under arrest, and chuck you all in the jailbird cell, because you all damn well deserve it. When you consider the fact that they actually used you. The son of a bitches, that's great. When they could have used their own, themselves, or their own relations. I mean, your dad's family is a big, massive monster family. I remember when we came to a funeral service, that's right, for one of your dad's so-called brother, I think, or the father. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Your family's like 12 siblings? Oh my God, it's a big family. Big, massive family, all right. But with a real nice reputation to match with it. Real bad news. Bad record, all right? Domestic violence, that's correct. And other types of tortures and harms, that's correct. And of course, look at what they're able to do. To dictate your privileges, to control your life, like as if I'm some sort of chattel or property to their family. Hey, oh my God, you know what? You guys deserve, your daddy needs to go to jailbird. Your family has got crazy. Your whole family needs a full checkup, but it needs a reality check as well. That, hey, hello, you don't need to do that to somebody that's not even part of your family, let alone ever consent. Well, I mean, how can they? If they have sex at that age, sex with their own Rellies, that's correct. Man, you got no common sense, but I mean, it's no wonder I left the Trevorana's family, that's correct, when they've got that connection. I ain't never coming back to your family. Oh no, not to the Trevorana's family. To my immediate family, I'll always have the connection. But as to the rest of that side of the family, oh, forget it. That's correct. I wouldn't even say goodbye to the Part 2 family because, oh my gosh, you think the other side is, but they're just as bad as well. With the domestic violence and other issues, that's great. Especially the sex crimes and stuff. Hey, being a brown monarch, I don't ever need to deal with any of that rubbish anymore. That's correct. Thank goodness. That's correct. Thank God. But when you consider your cousins starting the family, my God, here I am thinking, they're probably thinking, because they just like to make you out to be the loser. When in actual fact, man, the real losers are your dad, your cousin's family, and her parents especially. Your parents are crazy. Your parents are Looney Tunes. That's correct. Did you know that? But so are you. That's correct. That's correct. Like if you said anything, they know how to get back. Of course they know how to get back at me because they're punks. They know how to get back. Why do you think I turned out the way that I did? That's correct. Why did you think I became a natural pastor? It was probably because, God could see from above that the rest of Dad's side of the family, somebody needed to discipline them, but to teach them a lesson, but also they needed to be dealt to. That's correct. When you consider my poor dad's horse racing, he could have run his races all the time, but for some odd reason, his horses always came last, but there were some brilliant, winnings. But in the islands, he had 99 wins. So what was going on here in Upper Hutt? Yeah, just like with my situation, your cousin side of the family, and especially with that organization, with the jealousy, decided to control, to make your dad look like a loser. So that every time his horse would race in the race, would come at the end so they can all have a good laugh about it. Like a bad joke, like a good joke. That's correct. And now what? Well, if you enter my church TV now, it's from Dead Bull Village. So be careful now, because the death penalty is coming through strongly from my kingdom. But if you enter Dead Bull Village, well, It can only be as such. That's great if you're an evil person or a demon. The only thing that's waiting for you is the graveyard. 6 feet under. And the fire. And the furnace. That's the only thing you'll be meeting there. That's great. So if I were you, stay out of, Deadpool Village. Stay out of Crystal Kingdom. That's great. You don't belong there. You never did. You users, bludgers. Thank God. I have so much sympathy for my poor dad. The kind of rat bags and punks that he had to put up with, and even to cover up their so-called sorry white asses. But they set a very bad example, all right? Indeed. Especially if they could accept the incest and the sexual abuse and the sexual assault and the domestic violence and whatnot. That came your way because of their influence, their bad influence, and their bad friends. But when it comes to your cousin, so-called incest, and the little brother, that's correct, incest, they don't have the heart to have him arrested and locked away. That's right. Because after all, hey, his brain ain't screwed in the right place. Did you know that? But so is every other brother of dad's. That's correct. They don't have the heart. They don't have the heart and the guts to tell, to report him to the police to have him arrested. It's correct. And even the police, the sergeant of the police, and a lot of dad's so-called, the English parkiers don't have the heart. They don't have the heart. Do you know why? Because they feel sorry because of the fact that what my cousin, who she's related to, and also maybe because they're afraid. But it's because my cousin is so beautiful. Oh, we don't want to break her heart. That's correct. We don't want to be mean and nasty. Oh, but we like Amanda. That's correct. Blah, blah, blah. Because Amanda can manipulate and control them and say all the nice things, and they all fall for it. That's correct. Oh, Amanda is so good. I know. She's so good at satisfying them too. God, I'd hate to think, oh, she's got the nicest, beautiful legs. That's great. And the nicest, blah, blah, blah. But my cousin is a typical bloody punk and a rat bag who, she should have gotten a hiding a long time ago. That's great. A good flogging. That's great. But being a little bitch. That's great. And also, she should have been sent to an orphanage or something like that to be taught a lesson. But thank God, yeah. That things turn out okay for her. Only because why? Only because somebody had to make a sacrifice, or somebody was chosen to be the sacrificial lamb. To cover their skins and. My God, that's right. Typical. Anyway, well, at least I know who I am. And that's why what? Well, that's probably why they never liked you. Well, I didn't know they never liked you. Well, I mean, if they didn't like me because I wasn't a bitch and a whore like them, or a bastard, well, I didn't have children out of wedlock like most of them. That's great. Well, I didn't have abortion when I should. I should have followed suit, followed their example. I'm sorry. I must be a realtor runners. I must be a steward. And you guys must be whipsters. That's correct. That's all I can say. Hey, I've done some stupid things. But I ain't no whore. That's correct. Although you would love to think so. And that red demon of yours. They all need to burn in hell. That's correct. Well, they would love to make you convert into their little playmate. Like Playmansion. That's correct. Dream on. You son of a bitches. That's correct. You can all go to hell and rot in hell. But see you in court. They'll know this is going to be exciting, all right? I wonder who's going to end up in jailbird. Let's hope they're not going to end up in jailbird. Because if you think you're going to put me in a nut house, sorry, but you guys deserve to go there. You know what I mean? You all know very well what I'm talking about. Hey. Because you guys are Looney Tunes, you know that? They're insane, that's great. You couldn't tell the difference. You couldn't tell the difference between right and wrong. Let alone white and black. Well, I mean, after all. Your dad's, I know, that's great. I mean, your dad's siblings, some of them, when and I'm talking about Auntie Manda, that's great, who, Amanda, my dad's so-called sister, that's right. She used to rave on about their little, what they used to get up as young children, that's correct. And it was not good, and it was not good what they used to get up to. So there must have been real ratbags, there must have been real ratbags. And punks, all right. What? Stealing? Is stealing a local pastor's or the local reverend's watermelon? Eating them? And even the chickens? Yeah, that sounds like Dad's siblings, all right. The English is definitely the English. Man, they're bold, all right. I mean, into the so-called, the priest, the local, reverends, so-called residents, creeped in there, and took the watermelons, that's correct, and ate them, and even stole the chickens. Anything that the reverend, I know, that is the most, I don't know, craziest. I would never do such a thing. Do you know that? So that's what I'm talking about. Dad's siblings are like, not good, not good. That's the English side. Devious, all right? And despicable. Now they're going to pay for it? Now they're going to pay for it now. For all their despicableness. That's correct. Bad examples? Bad examples. My God. I must be the only one that what? That's correct. Well, at least I didn't end up in jailbird. That I can be grateful for. Which was never going to happen, of course. But when your Rellies and your cousins were all trying to, push you to go that way, that's correct. With their so-called Pākehā friends and their Māori friends and all their associates, that's correct. My God, you were outnumbered. Of course I would have been outnumbered. Just look at them. They were everywhere. My gosh, they're like bloody shit's poo that dropped from the sky. That's right. They were everywhere. And when you consider, the power, the kind of power that they could abuse against you as an individual, my God, well, I'll be leaving. Oh, don't be, what? Oh, no, don't be upset. I mean, who cares? This is my church TV. You can just ignore what I'm talking about and say, or whatever. That's correct. But that's about all you can say is whatever. That's correct. And that's about all. And all I'm going to say is just don't fucking come near me. You just make sure you stay the fuck out of me. Stay the hell away from me. That's correct. You son of a bitches. You bad examples. You bad fruits. That's correct. You bad sheeps. That's correct. I hope you burn in all hell. No, you are all going to go to hell. That's correct. So I've just realized. Besides, nobody needs evil people like you. Hey, you call me evil? How could I be evil if I was blessed this way? The fact that you guys couldn't understand me and you couldn't accept me. You couldn't accept the fact that the bestiality sin. You couldn't accept that. Yeah, out of all, but you could accept the incest? Well, at least I repented. But I mean, I only used that as an illustration. And also to let my, Christians out there that who are, if you've got similar, kind of sickness or similar sins, not sickness, but sins, but it's actually a sickness also, then there is somebody here that knows how to heal. That's correct. And that knows how to save you as well. As for the rest of the Treveranas family, hey, you can keep your last name. Because you're a Webster. They are Websters. They're not Treveranas. They sound like anus, all right? Trevor anus. You gutless swines. You son of a bitches. You unremorseful whores. That's correct. You know that they don't have the guts to say anything to you. But how could they? If they went through a lawyer to try and declare that you had a sickness of some sort, and yet they got bloody incest and the rest of it. The nerve. That's correct. Right. Well, that's the legacy. No, that's the legend of the Treveranas family and the Baker side of the family. It's correct. Incest. And also domestic violence and the rest of it. But I mean, hey, we've all grown up. But they still haven't grown up. No, they still haven't learned their lesson. They seem to leave you alone. It's correct. And this was the other one. I just remember now, Mr. Baker. I fight you, Baker. Well, how come your eldest daughter's name is Amanda? That's correct. Well, she named after my dad's. Oh, yes, yeah, your wife's so cool. My dad's sister. That's right. You know why? Because apparently, Cuzzy, your daddy had a thing. Your daddy had a thing. For dad's sister, Amanda. That's correct. So that's why you got named after Amanda. Now you can all say that, hey, I'm not part of the family. Hey, no, I already disowned myself. But when you motherfuckers go behind my back and give me rubbish like that and evil like that I don't deserve, that you know damn well that's correct, that I'm better than that, and I'm noble than that. That's why you guys are not Trevor runners at all. You are Websters. That's correct English. And that's why the English love you. They'll protect you. They'll cover up the incest. They'll deny my privileges because they feel sorry more for you guys, but also because they scare the shit out of you guys. That's correct. But they actually prefer you guys over me. That's correct. And to be honest, I don't need any English person at all. No, I don't. In fact, I don't need a dime from them either. Not even any pity, sympathy. But they can drop their so-called bullshit, order of supervision and all this nonsense. That's right. That's you guys have been giving me. Because that all came from you all. That's right. Okay. Makaukia lava. Ya winga. Wala ingo lo dada. Fufu lola. What, you're going to say, oh, kokole kiki? Okay, kokole kiki. How can I be kokole kiki? I'm bloody 49 years old. And I'm the head of the family. And I can say what I like. And I'm also a full royal. And I think I actually, would make a better head than any of you. That's correct. When you still got the incest there and the rest of it. And the rat bag as well. They're in the backyard, in the background. Well, at least with the brown monarch, things are going to be better, way better. And above than the rest of you. But thank goodness you won't ever have to deal with their nonsense and their rubbish anymore. That's great. Right. Thank you very much, Snow Gang Club Congregation. And also the newcomers for tuning in. And don't what? Hey, look at this. This my preaching. You can take it any way you like it. Whether it be Jerry Springer. Is this another Jerry Springer? No, I'm a natural pastor. I'm also a natural healer. And I know how to heal people and save people. And in my preaching, my preaching does that exactly. Naturally. Natürlich. That's correct. All right. Have a nice morning. And keep you all safe. Keep out of trouble. And get your measles vaccine. And your COVID-19 vaccine as well. Especially if you are going to be sexually active during COVID-19. You know what I mean? Because some of you guys, you can't, you're bed hoppers. That's great. Even when you know there's a bloody virus going around. Yeah, I know. Sex and the urge to have sex is too strong? Too strong. Now, if you can't handle my preaching, if you can handle any sex out there, that's great. The stuff that you see on the violence on the telly. And you say you can't handle my preaching? If you can't handle my preaching, then you don't belong in my kingdom. And if you can't handle my preaching, then you ain't reborn. And if you can't handle the fact that I'm a reborn and that I'm a royal, then you will never enter Crystal Kingdom. In your bloody dreams. That's correct. All right. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.